All right. Hello, everyone. We are live on Facebook. Welcome to the Who Am I group. And just to give you a brief explanation about what this group is, this is all about self image, and we help people get a better perspective about themselves. And for that, one of the reasons how we do that, one of the main sources how we do that is bring people that have values to share. Whether you do that as a profession or if you have personal values from your private life that you want to share, I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and those stories are what help people like us to empower ourselves and get over these details and how to resolve our personal lives. That's why today we have an important person live with us. She's Olga Brooks. Olga is a sound Reiki healer. She's a guide to shift feminine energy, leading women to the harmony of self. She's an inspirational international best-selling author and one of the leaders of the global feminine movement, Women of Contribution. And I want to know much more about that. She's a student of Marisa Peer, and with the purpose of getting more knowledge in helping others with a rapid transformation therapy. Her amazing spiritual and personal abilities create magic in people's lives. And we want to know all about that. Who doesn't want magic in their own lives? How you doing today, Olga?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for the introduction and for inviting me.
Absolutely. We love having you here. Now, everybody has a story, everybody has an origin. And I think knowing about the person's background helps us a lot about figuring it out, what's their type of identity and personality. So, you want to tell us where you come from?
I came from Russia. I grew up during the communism, and I grew up during the collapse of the communism. And I came here at 22, almost 23.
Very good. So, what do you decide to come here to US? And which part of the US are you located right now? Where do you live?
I'm in Boston. I'm in
Boston.
Boston.
Okay.
Hmm.
East Coast, like me, New
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah.
Okay. So, tell me, how was your childhood like over there? How do
You
you
know,
grow up?
oh, some people ask, not many, surprisingly, not many people are asking. Like, I'm not sure if they don't want to go into that, but
Oh, I love that.
um,
I care about that because that tells a lot about the people's programmings, right? How they grew
yeah,
up, what did they
yeah.
learn when they were kids?
People ask about communism, how bad that was, and it wasn't bad. It was bad when you look back on the perspective now. We're like, wow, we did that, you know. But who
Right.
didn't? Who didn't have childhood? You're like, wow, we did this and that. So I had a very like happy childhood. Um, my mom, dad, and I had a brother. We were mostly literally grew up free of the parental control.
Hmm.
So the parents were at work, we were at school or at home, and then the whole summers we spent with our grandmas, which is running around in the fields, playing games, going outside in the night, um, going to the woods, picking mushrooms, berries, helping grandma tending the garden, like plant potatoes, dig it,
Nice.
harvesting potatoes. So I was always connected to the earth, working with soil, and I love it still. I love to get my hands dirty.
Which part of Russia was that?
Southwest of Moscow, it's actually a nuclear power plant town. At some point in the 90s, it was closed town.
Okay, let's start now connecting the story from.
Mhm.
Tell me about the lives of women in the days you were growing up.
It was so interesting because when I came to America, we've heard, we kind of know whatever people think. Yeah, Russians are like this or American are like that. So I've heard my own stories about, well, American women are like that. They're so independent. They don't need men. They don't need this. So when I came here, I was like, yeah, they are independent here. It took me 20 years to put two and two together that I was in the same shoe as American women were, but a little bit younger. I didn't think
Mhm.
about it myself because um, I the way the system worked in Russia, at 15 I was already out of the house. I
Oh
studied
yeah.
for 3 years, so in different town, 60 kilometers away from my town. So I studied for 3 years. I studied economy and I became a bookkeeper, an accountant. I'm sorry, accountant. So at 18, couldn't get a job first because the time was tough in Russia. But then I got a job at the nuclear power plant, and I was an accountant and worked for 4 years. And during that time, my family, we bought apartment for me. So at 19, I already actually had everything. I had a job,
Mm.
I had my own place to live. And it was very difficult to kind of meet a man or have a guy who would come and contribute something because I already had so much.
Oh yeah.
Like I was not the one to save, to be like,
Mhm.
oh, I will marry you, we'll have place to live. I was already there. So that was
You're
not
very
easy because
independent.
the economy, yeah. So
That's how they taught you to be, or you
what
just
is it?
had a house from young age.
We bought it because the way the economy was,
Can you hear me?
we bought the apartment uh, because the way the economy was, we did not have money for the government in the 90s. That craziness of the collapse of the Soviet Union, the money disappeared from the government, so we wouldn't have our paychecks for like 4 months. And then all of us
Wow.
worked at the nuclear power plant, and we had like a good income. But then when they would start giving us money, like the whole family had lots of money. So that's how we did the family
So
help.
you're showing signs from a very early age that you were very independent, and I think you just had something that was driving you to be that way. I think nobody was teaching you to be that way. I think you had something in you. Tell me a little bit about, you had any strong dreams when you were young? Something you wanted to become that you were dreaming of?
You know what? No. It's very interesting how
What was
many
driving
people,
you to have that personality?
there's so many people these days, they're saying, oh, dream, what is your dream? What was it? What were your dream when you, what did, what? It was not much to dream about at that time. At that time in Russia, there was like, in that town where I lived, there was like not many possibilities, not much. So
So it
I
was then you
decided to
started
change
thinking
my
about the
life.
US?
I decided to change my life because I saw that there is no way of dreaming. There is no way to do something. So yeah,
Okay, so you had at a certain age, maybe you didn't have a dream, but you had a goal of coming to the US, right?
nope. We
What made
were
you just come all of a sudden?
well, the 90s were very tricky times. I was a Russian bride, actually. I came here as a Russian fiance.
Okay. All right. Now, I know that you in particular have a lot of passion for women for some reason. Let's start by telling me about your business name. Why the return, and what does that mean?
I went through such a difficult time in life, and people call it the dark night of the soul. So I went there. I was sitting in that pit all alone in the darkness, and I stopped going to my therapist. I was going through divorce. Um, my therapist told me, okay, you have two choices. One choice, the problems you have now, and the other choice, the problems you're going to have after you get divorced. So I was sitting all by myself every day. My heart was so heavy. I could not even see any future or anything just because I have two children. And I just saw the humongous of this problem and weight of me being on my own and everything. Every day I would sit in this darkness. And then little by little, I literally, with my own self, I started feeling my whole body. I started feeling my heart. The only thing I worked every day was my heart. Open up my heart, open up my heart, because it was so tense. It was so scared. Um, and every day when I felt the release of everything from my heart, everything else was flowing nicely. So that was the beginning of me learning my own body, learning my own mind, how that connects, how if you would sit in the darkness and if you would scare yourself, you will sit there forever until you start shifting things within your brain and within your heart. So I had done that. And then little by little, the information here, the information there started opening up. And the amazing thing, what happened was I understood, because I was actually blaming God and saying, where the heck are you? Like, I'm all alone. Where are you?
Right.
It's about the time to be here right now and help me somehow. And at one moment, I felt the unity and the oneness of me and God, and I understood who God is. And it was the state that I cannot explain, because I cried out from happiness, from the bliss of understanding who we truly are as human beings. Because we live our lives by our brain, by our ego self. We are going to churches, praying to God, but we're still not understanding truly who we are and our potential and our connection with God. And that is what I found out. That moment was the pivotal moment. And I said, this is not enough. I want more.
I believe that you somehow were asking for God for like an answer, a guidance, right? And then you saw yourself that nothing was happening. And I think that was the answer, like saying, you have the tools to do this. You have the tools to be connected to yourself and find out what you're about. I think that's the answer. The silence is the answer. And that's also a divine connection. I think you got into this rock bottom feeling and you got to connect to yourself. And when you get there, I think you discover much more about you. And when you know that what your life is about, you discover that it's not really about you, it's about helping others. I think that you got that enlightenment, right?
But
So,
that's where the return comes in, the return to self. That is where the name, you asked where the name came from. And that's how I felt that I was finally able to be me again. So it is that return to self. And later on, I just call it that return to the feminine self, because I had learned so much later on about femininity. During my childhood, going back there, I was a tomboy. I wanted to go to the army. I was protecting girls and fist fighting with the boys. Even though I still actually do this kind of things. That time in Russia, the girls were not allowed to go to the army, but I do own black belt in karate still, so I still
really,
use that masculine energy that I love within me, and I know there's a great amount of it, and that was my difficulties in life always, because I have more masculine. Even though I look very feminine, inside me I'm a fire. so
right. But I
so
think
I
with
had
years,
to.
go ahead,
Mhm.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I had to learn through many techniques and practices. I had I had done lots of healing, because after the divorce I had a relationship for 2.5 years with a person who I believed he was my twin flame. I actually never even knew of existence of the twin flame until I met him, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Which flame you said?
A twin flame. Twin
What is that?
flame. It's there are different opinions about this, but it's very, very unexplainable connection with a person. The love that is not just normal, like it's beyond normal love. There is telepathic connection, and the way you feel, you never felt this way with anyone in your life. And it's the way it explains is like part of your energy self is with someone else too. It's like you are separated, but when you're together, that's where you feel that insane connection. So
Do you feel that a lot of that transformation in your life had to do with you connecting to yourself and being able to love yourself more? There was a lot of
that
self-love
was the
involved.
learning. That was a big learning, and it's such a process. Even though people say love yourself, love yourself, and lots of times it sounds like blah blah because
Yeah,
people
yeah.
hear it, but it's a process. You can't just like, okay, I'm gonna love myself right now. I'm gonna like give
Yeah, it doesn't
myself
happen like that.
a cup of tea. It's just a process, and it's ongoing process, and I had to learn how to do that. um, there is a time of learning, and there is time of implementation, and there's time of being. So that feminine, when you found this out, when you did not know, you were not aware of it, that you don't have to sacrifice yourself, that you do have boundaries, that you do have power, then you're just, when you got that, you just leave that. You leave that every day. And that's the generation of the energy within you. So that's where the feminine and the masculine kicks in. We do live our lives as we have to do this, and that. The society tells us, the husband tells us, the wife tells us. We do stuff for the children, we do stuff for others, just because this is how we saw it, this is how people are saying it. But when you step back, when you look into yourself, you think, I'm exhausted. I don't feel loved. I don't think I can move forward. So when that return again happens, when you listen to that, you think something is wrong. What is wrong? When you start looking at what is wrong, the wrong is because you were doing stuff the masculine way, and that is not the feminine way. You are destroying your feminine energies where, the masculine should be doing it this way. So there is always a play, the feminine and the masculine, and of course all of us have it, both energies. But there is, when you overuse in one energy, the other gets
Buried.
like, yeah, burned out. So I had done it with the masculine, and I had done it with the feminine too. So I had done it with both, like totally misusing it, and that's just from not knowing.
I believe that a lot of this, maybe I'm wrong, but I think a lot of your transformation had to do with your kids. Didn't they give you more like that extra reserve of energy, extra strength that you needed? That if you were alone, it would be a different story if you were with the kids, right? Because a lot of this you have been doing since you came to divorce, and you were left with kids on your own, and you had to figure it out. There was no chances or no choices but to figure it out, and then you had to connect with yourself. But I think it will be different, a different drive if you didn't have kids.
It would be totally different story, because all the fear came actually from being alone in this country. I don't have family here. I don't have support as like friend support. I have some friends, but it doesn't mean that, I would like knock on the door and say, can you please help me? So that fear, yes, of what am I going to do now? How am I going to leave? How am I going to survive? Because I was staying at home mom for 11 years. So
Mm.
10 years, yeah.
So there was a different world to go out there on your own. I can
Hmm.
imagine. You know how many women are in your position and they can't figure it out. So you're a clear example, living example of a person, of a woman, how to get out of yourself and just say, go and make it happen. But for that, you can't just go out there and make things happen manually. You have to make a deeper connection like you did. Once you connect to you, then I think everything else is possible. It's like everything
You
starts flowing in
find,
your direction,
yes, you
right?
find a lots of wisdom within yourself. Whereas when you are scared and you're projecting your fears, you're trying to think how the future is going to be. Then you're like, you forgot about yourself. You're gone. You are gone. You're just there with the fears and everything. Where in reality, everything that we want, everything what we need is already within us.
Mm-hmm.
So when you connect with that, which is you need to regulate your mind, your thoughts, you need to know your heart. It has to be open, it has to be free flow of energy. And then you do need to deal with whatever the past was. Because the past is always like a tail. It always comes back, comes back, comes back until you deal with that. I had learned it, I'm learning it through my rapid transformational therapy. It's all dealing with what happened in the childhood, and why things are so difficult now. For example, I never knew, actually, I never knew that I had abandonment problem. Never knew that until I had my own child. I looked at him and I thought, oh my gosh, he's so precious. Wait a minute. What? My mom gave me away to my grandparents for some time when I was a year and a half. What is wrong with her? So, and then when I started becoming like really restless at home with children constantly, when I was talking to my psychologist, she told me, she says, oh, oh, that's why it's so difficult for you with people. That's why you are in such a pain if a friend doesn't want to be a friend with you, or if your husband does not like take you to whatever dinner or something, you feel like you're abandoned. Um, and that is the problem. So, and I dealt with that for many, many, many years.
Did that really happen to you in your childhood?
Yeah, I had constant ear infections. I asked my mom, I was like, what is wrong with you? Why did you give me away? It wasn't for too long. I can't even, she feels so guilty. She wouldn't even tell me the truth for how long she gave me away.
Really?
She just had to work and I would constantly get ear infections. And we did not have babysitters in Russia. Like you can't not work, I guess.
So you were feeling like alone and sick.
So I guess at that time, it's just the age when that stuff happens to us. You know, sometimes we don't
Mhm.
even know what happened to us, but developmentally, and this is what sound Reiki is teaching too. Um, Developmentally, even when you are inside your mother's womb,
Mhm.
you are already learning things. You pick up on her mood. You pick up on what is going on in the energy field of the mom.
Mhm.
And I actually did have, I was sad with my first child. I was very sad. And it was interesting to learn that children who pick up on mom's mood, they do not want to come out. So my first child was
Mm.
induced. When I learned that, I was like, my poor baby, my poor baby, I'm gonna have to fix you now. So I started like, I checked him. I said, okay, honey, let's check where your energies are. I want to see what's going on with which chakras. And I cleared it all. So he did have, and I could just feel which chakra, when and why it actually affected. Like I
Oh
could
yeah.
not pick up on people, but I could just feel that energy and why it happened. And I was like, okay. So he's pretty great now.
Yeah.
But I,
Now, you have a quote that says, "Balance is an essence of harmony, and only in harmony you will find true happiness." That's a beautiful quote of yours. How can you
Thank you.
explain that one? Where
You
does that come
know,
from?
the interesting thing is, I created this. And then I asked my friend, who is, English is not my first language. And I thought, it sounds right, but is it truly, really right in a
Mm.
sense of the meaning? So I called my friend, she's from Israel. So I'm saying, do you think that's right? Is the balance the essence of harmony, or the harmony is the essence of balance? And she told me, she says, it could be both. I was like, okay, and just left it at be. But I just wrote an article and I was talking about this, and it was like big opening for me, that I've heard a very good, I love her, Shanda Sumter. She's a great coach, business coach. She said, you can create a balance. Life is just crazy. It always brings you things. You always constantly have to deal with things. So balance is an illusion. It's kind of like, it's hard. And that's where my quote kicks in, thinking, okay, balance is important, but the beginning is the harmony. When you feel the harmony within, then you create the balance around. So the balance is kind of the outside thing. The harmony is the inside thing.
Exactly. I believe exactly that, that the world can go upside down, but you are capable from inside to keep the
Mhm.
balance.
Well, that's
And
what
you keep,
we've been witnessing, yes, a
yeah, and
lot
you keep the
right
balance
now.
by controlling what things mean to you. Now, if you're gonna go
Mhm.
crazy and stressed out by everything, then you lose balance. Because you know what?
Mhm.
That doesn't mean so much bad to me. That's not that negative. That's not that positive, and this is not as negative. I think everything has a polar opposite, right? You can always find the good thing in the negative things, and vice versa. I think you can manage balance, but it takes a lot of willpower, a lot of thinking, concentration, and understanding the laws and yourself, right?
But it's constant juggling, it's constant stress, because from trying to create balance and deal with things, you go through stress. So but when you have the management of your inside, then the stress level is totally different.
Right. I think stress comes when trying to control things that you can't control, trying to be on top of everything that you shouldn't. But when you just occupy your mind to control the things that you can control, and the rest don't really worry about them, I think you can find a balance. Right now, speaking about energy, would you call your energy work, that type of thing, the work you do, you call some type of supernatural power that you have? Is that something? Is that your superpower? This work with energies?
you know it's it's usually people think, oh my gosh, this is so supernatural, this is so I don't think so. It's just such a reality. When you learn who you truly are, when you learn what the universe is, that everything is energy, then things like that, your abilities, are your natural abilities. So, I mean, there have been some some supernatural things that happen to us, but we think that they're supernatural, where in reality they just exist, and they're right there.
Have you ever experienced yourself something like supernatural experience?
I did, yes. um, I was 27. I had a stroke, and it was very interesting. I was waiting to go to rehab, and I was waiting for my insurance come to and look that I have an IV. So I was waiting for them, and I was, it was a little bit. They have to give you the go. So I was there, and then this woman came to me with a very funny voice. My my husband at that time, he said, or he was actually my boyfriend. We weren't even married yet. He said, "You were just on morphine." It's like things just like got a little bit messed up. So I tried to think about it that way, but listen. So the woman came with a very, very funny voice, not like normal, almost like from the show. Um, Elderly woman, she says, Olga, hi. I said, hi. She says, how are you doing? I said, okay. She said, do you know God loves you? I said, yes. She says, talk to him. I said, okay. She said, well, first of all, she said, hi, my name is Tracy or Stacy McCormick. And I'm thinking, remember the name. You never remember the names. Try to remember the name. And then she said, oh, you're going to go at 2:00. You're going to be moved to rehab. I thought, okay. So the nurse comes and said, good news, you're going to go to rehab. And I was like, I already know that, first of all. So then I moved to rehab, and then I was so miserable there. On the second day, I just cried and cried, and I said, I want out. I want out. I want to go home. I was off of morphine. I had to wait for the Tylenol for like 30 minutes. I was in such a pain in my head. I was like, I just want to go home, sleep. It was so loud. My head was just like in pain. So they finally, somehow, I asked every person who walked into the room. I said, yeah, I want to go home. I want to go home. So they sent me home. 2 days later, I was on my way home. I was releasing all the papers downstairs. And the woman said, here you go. This is the name of your case manager. Her name is Tracy McCormick. And I was like, what? So I'm asking them, I said, is she this old woman with the hair? She's like, no, she's young like you. I was like, oh my gosh. So that was a little bit very, very weird. But what I also had, I had near-death experience after that. And I was at home, and I was literally sleeping at night. And then I was just flying. I was flying so fast in the space with whatever the sparkles of the stars. I was just going so fast. And I knew that in a split second, I will cross the line. I knew that I'm going to see God. And I was like, I still felt guilty. I was so Christian at that time. I was like, I'm not ready. And I literally pulled myself out of it. I woke up and like, I was all sweaty and all like, but and I didn't even know that it was near-death experience. I did not know about it at that time. So, but then when I heard people, I was like, oh, that's what it was. Amazing speed was. So
Now I see clearly that your life is purely about you reverting energies and make them work for you. It's actually very clear to me. So that's something natural in you. I see. Now let's talk about the technical part of the energies in your life. How do you come about to start learning about energies and how they work?
actually, this experience that I had, near-death experience, I saw a meetup in Boston, and it says astral projection. And I thought, let me see what that is. And I went to the meetup, and I was the only person who came. And it was an amazing young shaman who he learned in Peru and studied at some of the universities in Boston, studied neuroscience. Now he's in California studying acupuncture. But he taught me energy. He taught me how to move energy through my body. And it was very interesting. I mean, he explained to me, sometimes he did not give me exact technical details. So I would drive my car thinking, okay, let's just try to do that. So I would move, I would get the energy, gather it in my body. And then my back was on fire. And I was like, oh my gosh, why is it such a like heat? So I would text him and say, what's going on? He says, are you letting it out? I said, oh, I was supposed to let them out. Oh, he's like, that's how monks can sit, like Tibetan monks, they can sit in the snow and melt the snow around them. I was like, oh, okay. So then I learned how to let it out, and but it's an amazing feeling. It's like it's so empowering to actually know that your body is here and is an instrument that you can use for such amazing things.
Now, what energy healing modalities do you use in your work?
So I had seen, first of all, many I know about many and many different techniques and styles. And I had interviewed, I had my own summit. I'm actually getting into my second summit right now.
Mhm.
So I had spoken to like 50 business owners. You know, they weren't all energy, but they were all women who went through some things in their life, got to the point where they learn things, and now they're out there to help others the way I am doing it right now too. So, but there are, um, I had learned energy alignment method, which is which is huge. It's a woman, let me, Viete Tyler, I think her name is. She wrote a book. She created that method, and that book is kind of that method is kind of like certified in England. I had learned that how to literally shift your energies very easily, and then I can use that. I can use that for myself or for any other people. Um, and then I'm using sound Reiki and some of the traditional Reiki.
Can you tell me more about the sound Reiki? How does it work?
So sound Reiki, there, you know how music is, yes? You
Yeah.
listen to some music and it's just like your heart opens up and you just want to
Hmm.
listen to it forever and ever. So
Yeah.
music is the energy.
Hmm.
Um, so there are specific sounds that are like opening sounds and the grounding sounds. For example, the sounds O and E, they are grounding sounds. So when with the sound Reiki, what is amazing is that you can relieve release your energy field from all the negative experiences that you had in life that are still in your energy body and can affect you still. So what I do, I remove those cords, energy cords, and I transmute them into the light cords, so they don't just go away and like affect anything else, you know,
Right.
just transmute it. I ground person and literally align all the energy grid to
Do you
like
do you
100%
believe
light.
Mhm. Do you believe that people can be stuck somewhere in life and not be able to make any progress just because they're surrounded by people that have negative energies? Is that possible?
It is possible if they got affected by that energy, if there is an energy that is still from the childhood in there. And you know, each chakra has its own meaning, yes. And if you were affected by your family member, for example, yes, so the root chakra would be the one that can be blocked. And you're trying, I don't know, you can try many things. You can try, you know, have positive mind. You can work on it every time. Yes, it will kind of help you maybe in a moment, but there are going to be triggers in life, similar triggers that that energy that is stuck in you produces. So the release of it will free you. Then you have to learn how to keep that energy space clear, and you can get affected again by other people's experiences and everything. And that's what I do. It's very interesting when I, like, for example, I worked with one person today, and at first it wasn't too bad. I was surprised. I was like, oh, not many energy like experience negative in this area, in that area, but then I go to the throat area more, then I go to the third eye more, then I go to the crown chakra. There was like more than hundreds. And one person in India, and I was like, oh, I'm just so curious to see how many chords he has, because he has such a communication, just like really communicative person, knows many people around the world. But knowing his character and knowing how fast it can go from good to bad, I was like, okay, let me see. There it was like more than 300 in each chakra, like 300, 200. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the only
Wow.
person who actually had that many negative chords. So
Do you use personally sounds, or you combine it with hands and other type of therapies?
so I use primarily so the technique that what I do is it's a total connection with God. So I connect with God. I don't do it. God does it. So whatever you
Mm,
call it, source or anything, I'm a vessel. I connect. I say specific. I wouldn't call it prayer requests
mhm.
to remove, to align, and that's what God does through me with the God's energy.
Can you practice this type of help with somebody that is not physically present with you, like somebody that lives overseas, for example?
It is so easy to do it on Zoom,
Yeah.
and it is so easy to do it with the person's permission.
So you're saying you can take clients, this type of clients over Zoom, and help them as good
Mm-hmm.
as you would do it in
Mm-hmm.
person,
Yep.
or is less effective because it's Zoom?
No, it's not less. It's all energies. It
Really?
doesn't matter. Yep. Energies do not care.
Does it have anything to do with their beliefs as well? What affects them, or is all surrounding energies, or what is it linked to? The bad energy of a person.
It
What does it
is.
link to?
It is. You need to be trustful to the process. If you trust that this is what is happening right now, you really feel like tremendous release right away.
Mhm.
Now, if you're holding it and you're thinking, okay, we'll try to believe her, um, it happens, but you cannot feel it like that. So it takes some time. At the end of the session, I actually do find out how long it takes for that all, because the shifting of energies can some people who are so exhausted from the state they are in, they would be like, yes, please do it. And you do it and they're like, wow, that was great. And then other people, you're like, hey, would you like me to do that? Yeah, sure. Because I've done it for friends just for free, just to help them out. And then it'd be like, okay, thank you, thank you. So
So you're saying
but
that it acts quick?
it's
Yeah.
instantaneously. And what I see with one person who I worked, and that's what I'm telling you, like the magic that I create is when person trusts me and communicates with me. If you tell me, I have such a difficult time finding job. It's just, oh, I've been sitting for 2 months. And that's what exactly happened with one person. He had so many problems in life. um, and he says, I just don't know what to do. I said, look, here's what you do. And it was amazing. He's like, you're a witch. I was like, what happened? He goes, look, my old boss just called me and asked me if I want a job. I was like, see? And then one by one, like one time he's like, I still don't know how to deal with that. And I said, okay, here's what you do. And literally while we are on like chatting, he says, you won't believe what just happened. I said, what? my ex-wife's mom just contacted me from like out of the blue. He's like, oh my gosh. So things like move instantaneously. As soon as you change your energetic state, things move like that.
It's like you unblock yourself. It's like your aura starts to pick up positive things as soon as you get rid of the negative blocking,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And do you feel that shift in the person? You see a change in the mood or something like that?
I actually feel it within my body. I feel it
Oh,
through
you
I
do?
feel it through my body. Yeah. I always, when I do the, so what I have, what I'm experiencing while I'm doing it or after I do it, when I do it for the person and I know that person is like totally clear and just amazing, I feel totally clear and my heart is open. And sometimes I'd be like, there is still, my heart is still, so I go and work a little bit more just to make sure that there is opening there, that there is a release there, in a way that I know, like I feel it in my body. And most of the time, like my heart goes like this. At some point, I don't even think about it, nothing. But when I do the energy, then I'll be like, oh, the heart again, the heart again. So I feel it within me.
Hmm.
I can't feel it like what is, that's, well, I guess that's how I feel them through my own body.
Does the person need to be in some semi sleep mode, or they have to be awake, or it's better if they sleep? What's
You know,
their state?
I started using the technique, which puts you in the alpha state mode. I started doing brainwave. It's just more relaxing, and I think it's beneficial to a person. So I do that. I relax person and just explain what is going to happen, and then I just like nicely and calmly wake the person up.
Now, about the sessions, is a Reiki session just a one-time thing, or you have people that can have sessions, repeated
You
sessions?
know, the first session, the one session, it could be just one session. One session is only to remove whatever you had from the past. You
Mhm.
can come back for other sessions just if you feel like you had a bad experience with the person and you feel like it is in your energy field. I do teach people how to create that protection shield. I do
Mhm.
give that technique after they have the first healing. I send it to them, and it's up to you to use it in the morning, to use it at night when you go to sleep. Um, if there are so the answer is, if you had experienced something in your life and you feel like there is negativity, um, you can come back, and it's a short session, much shorter. Like first one, it takes time to figure things out. But the cool thing about the other sessions, like if you feel like something is wrong, something is up, and if you want to know how many chords in which chakra, and because there are going to be just a few of them, it's not going to be like the first time when you clear them all out, there are lots of them. So you can't go through like, okay, who did that, who put that chord in there. Other sessions, you can actually find out who that person was. And then the coolest part about that is, because when we experience negativity, when we experience conflict with other people, we actually, they put the negativity in us and we put the negativity in them. So there's like a chord exchange, okay? And other people feel that. So when you go through that process of removing those cords, you forgive those people, and you also remove your cords that you send to them, which is the coolest thing about this. Um, to sorry, to the point where, you know, other people feel it too
Mhm.
on the energetic level. Goodness. And then you can actually, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. Let me heal
Drink
it.
water. Let's have a water break.
So yes, if there is a big conflict with other people, when you change those energies within you and also take away your course from them,
Mhm.
the conflict can be resolved in a way that you would not expect. Sometimes we can predict, oh, this person, he's not gonna do, or she's not gonna do. You never know what's gonna happen after that, after you clear the cords.
So you never need to know the origin of their negative energy, right? You don't care about where it comes from. You just can go and just help them unblock, and that's it. You don't have to ask them questions about, so what happened? Did you file for divorce, or are you stressed out? You don't ask any type of question. You just go heal, and
Mm-mm,
that's it.
mm-mm.
That's it.
Yep, that's it. I can just give you the numbers. That's the only thing I find out from you. From how many people, how many cords, well, not from how many people, how many cords there are. I get exact number. And then if you come next time, if there you need to quick fix, I would call it. If you need a quick fix next time, I can find out from you the names. You give me the names and I'll tell you if it's that person or not.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So that's easy. You know what? I myself have a lot of clients that come and start telling me the story about blah blah. I can say, you know what? Look, don't tell me anything else. Just go to Olga. She'll take it from the roots. That's it. And you half and half.
Yeah. The other part of sound Reiki healing, which is really, really, really cool too, is dealing with your childhood.
Oh yeah.
So here's the theory of that, which I a little bit touched, but we did not go into that. So from the age of 0, when you're in your mom's womb, to the age of 19, there are specific developmental stages that we all experience. Remember that, yes, developmental. When the child can notice hands and see himself, oh, that's apparently, that hand is apparently me, and start
Hmm.
staring at the hands, and then notices that what other people are doing. And it all teaches you awareness of self, awareness of others. If there were traumas that happened at that period of time, when you were supposed to learn about self, when you were supposed to learn about others, the connection with your mom, the connection with your dad, if something happened dramatic, that developmental stage kind of drops, stops. And what happens later on in life, you have problems with or yourself or others. And it happens over whatever the learning is happening until the age of 19. What happens, it's called soul child. So your child that was supposed to learn those lessons kind of stopped in its development. And
Hmm.
what happens in life, we face difficulties, be that with people, be that with mom, dad, and relationships, um, with self. It's you could say it's separation of that soul child and your adult self.
Hmm.
And what happens in life when this separation happens, you are unable to hear things, what that developmental period means for the developed human being, human
Hmm.
adult. So you would think, why can't you just understand this? How can he feel that way? Or how can she feel that way? Why would she choose that? Why didn't she know? Couldn't she hear? Couldn't she see this guy is not for you? Like all this stuff that come out in, because, well, things were blocked. I clearly could not see it. So what sound Reiki does in a soul work, soul child work, is the union. You unite that part, that time of the age. I find out exactly when that happened, what age, and then the alignment happens, and then that the changes in life happen too. So.
Very interesting. Yeah. So you're saying that maybe that type of self-awareness of knowing what happened between those ages can help you make easier the process to unblock those negative energies, right?
Well, it's not now. Here is not even energies. Here is abilities. Your ability to hear the divine, even your abilities to hear the voice that is telling you that's not cool, that's not good, or you shouldn't do that, don't choose that job, or don't go to that college, like whatever. It's just your inability to really hear the direction in life.
Can you help anybody that doesn't believe in God?
The God.
They say,
It's
I
like
don't believe in God, but
like
I believe that
you
you can
don't
help
believe
me.
in Russia, but Russia still exists. you know
There are
so
people that
God
say, I don't
still
believe in
does.
anything, but I want to be cured.
um
As long as they believe in you, I think they're fine, right?
it's a good question. The energies do work, and it depends how you are using them too. So if the person does not believe in anything higher in the energies, then it's going to be tricky, because there is a big blockage. It is a block. um, are you willing to remove it in order to actually feel it and believe it? Then you will see that person that will see the result.
Yeah, I
I
think
Yeah, you can't, I think, impose the kind of like, if I could just do, you know what, I'm just going to heal that person without his permission. I'm just going to sit here, and with all my strategies, I'm just going to make him good. It's not going to happen, because there has to be a permission.
yeah, and if a person doesn't believe in something superior, what are the chances they believe in a deeper self, right? So that will be more difficult to deal with, I think.
What happens is that person is just in a 3D level existence, which is the brain and the ego. And that is very difficult to feel and understand what really is going on within you. Because when you do the work, the energy work, when you feel those energies inside of you, it changes everything in life. Like everything. All your problems are problems, but they are not in a level that you would think if you were intellectually thinking, if only the brain and the ego. Because the ego is such a, I almost
Bad,
want to say
bad advisor.
device. It's just like such a part of us that can do such tricks with us. It's unbelievable. Even the person who is aware, it still plays with us, and we still get trapped with that. So, but if the person doesn't have that awareness of the ego part, of the energy parts, it's the state of low vibrations.
Hmm.
So what happens with the energy healing, you are released to be in a high state of vibration.
Hmm.
So the 3D and the ego and the fear and everything, you are only in that lower state vibration, which would be it's very dense, and it's very difficult to lift you up, to light you up.
You ever got a person like that so negative that you say, you look at them and said, "Look, get out of here. You're too negative." Can you help people that are extremely negative? You think? Have you ever perceived a person say, "Oh my God, this person is so negative"? You ever had that feeling? Is it me?
No, I want to say my teenager son. I went to the restaurant this time, and I asked an elderly lady. I said, I'm sorry, I'm from Russia. I really did not learn the vocabulary for the teenagers. Could you please find me the word for the teenagers? And it's not obnoxious. It's nothing like that. It's just the um, the attitude and everything. It's like, could you please find me the word to describe this? But it's like, it's constant, like noticing and actually judging a person. And that brings negativity.
Right.
So, and I constantly try to work with actually that part to say, look, it starts actually here. The negativity process, changing the negativity, you need to start with the awareness.
Mhm.
If you want to change it, you need to start being aware. And then it's kind of a process too, I think. You work with that and then the energy work.
Now let's go to your
Does not.
niche. I'm very interested in your niche. Why did you
Mm.
choose to work with women exclusively or almost exclusively?
I like to work with women because of the meaning of our bodies. So the feminine body is such a magnificent part of this whole humanity. No one can avoid female's body. Everybody's been there. So I love that part of the feminine. So I do work with women, but as I mentioned, I am, as with friends, I do help guys too.
So you can
So
work with men too, or you just do it with
yeah,
friends?
yeah,
You
yeah,
can work with men.
yeah. Because I see that there is a lots of negativities come from our experiences,
Mhm.
with
Right.
both sexes. So
Do you feel any different working with when it's with men or with women or with kids? Is there anything that you feel differently?
kids are more imaginative and it's very easy to explain. For example, when I was doing it with my son, it's very nice and light working with the kids actually.
Yeah.
um, with women, they trust the process because of the body. We are more aware of our bodies than men are. When I work with men, um, there is some difficulty to, I guess, even feel the energies, like women, they right away they feel shift, they're like, wow, 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 this is so cool. No, actually, it depends. What I had noticed, men who have more feminine energies, they actually feel it right away too.
Oh yeah.
That's
Right.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel that the older the person gets, the difficult it is to work with them, or nothing to do with age?
No, it's nothing to do with age. The age is only if there is a generational influences of religion, you know, that could be, or some cultural things too. But the age itself does not do anything.
Okay, makes sense. Tell us about the aspect of your guide's work with women.
Would say that again?
Tell us about the aspect of your guidance work with women. How do you guide
Yes.
women
I love guiding women to their bodies,
to their bodies? Okay.
because the bodies are so important to us. And the feminine bodies get a lots of negativity even by being a body, the way it looks like, the experiences women had in life, the pain that we go through, starting with women having a period, the pain that we go through having a child, all of that. um, and this the seasons, the stages that we go through, um, all of that, if we don't think about it, if we just kind of treat our bodies as Well, I wish I had better waistline. Well, I hope, like if you just treat your body as not as something divine and absolutely amazing, and if you don't look at the cycles, be that the cycles of the moon that we are totally connected with, your own feminine cycles, what is it that is stuck in your body? For example, I was doing I was doing I didn't even know that, like I thought I didn't have that bad experiences in my life in order to have that blockage of that energy within me. So I was guided in this, and the person said, what is it in your hip? There is something in your hip. Just um, breathe it through that and let it go. And the interesting thing is that I found, like, my, as I told you, yes, I was opening my heart in the beginning. I just learned it on my own, kind of thing. Just like breathe out, let the heart go, let it open, let it go big. um, I never knew that I had a blockage in my hip. I couldn't feel it. But that person who guided me felt it and said, let it go, release it, release it. And what happened as soon as I released it, I cried. I just cried and I said, I'm going to sleep. Bye. And I went to sleep. I woke up next morning, I walked differently. It was such a freedom. So what happens with us, with the experience that women have in life and our bodies, um, we might have such blockage there that we don't even know. Only when we release it, we would be like, oh my gosh, life is so good. And that's why I love to work with women's bodies and with women.
I thought that the release of energies was all a matter of the aura, the chakras, right? I didn't know that there's certain energies that allocate in certain parts of the bodies.
There are meridians and there are accitonal lines too. There is, like, we are very complex, the
So is it
energy.
possible that you have a physical problem and it's just a bad energy allocated in some part of the body?
Do
Because
you
I
know,
have a
like,
hip problem or my hip hurts, it means that it might have a negative energy stuck there.
which side?
Which
Is it
side?
for real or you're asking just
Well, it
hypothetical?
happens to me, but it comes and goes. I don't know.
Which side?
Right.
So that's your feminine. Oh, that's your masculine. The right side of the body, if there are any physical problems with you, it is a problem with your, or the feminine or the masculine too. So even though it is the physical manifestation of it, but there is something within your energy that is, or something within your life, something within your thinking, that is producing that.
Okay. How about the energies of teenagers? Is that a stronger energy to deal with? Would you work with teenagers?
That's an interesting point, because when I was thinking about my niche, who should I work with, what the age is, and I still have the same question, would that be beneficial for working with the teenagers before they mess up in life? Or should you let them to mess up so they learn? Because how can you learn without messing up? Is
Hmm.
this right?
Right.
But at the same time, wouldn't that be wonderful to have the wisdom? Think about tribes a long time ago, yes? How they were taught in the tribe, how the guys should be, how the women should be. And it was the wisdom of the elders that taught them that. We kind of lost it. Our kids are like on their own. Okay, guys, you can go and learn life on your own. Um, within me, I believe that we should work with teenagers
Yeah, absolutely.
and actually teach them energies, the release of energies, because they go through craziness. The body goes through craziness, the mind, the hormones, everything.
there's a lot of energetic factors involved. Yeah, that's
Mhm,
why so much, because they're going through a transformation. Imagine that age,
mhm.
12 to 15, something like that.
Yeah.
Must be a crazy energy going around, and they have, you can see, you can
Mhm.
feel that energy they have.
Yeah.
We wish we had that.
My son actually, it's so interesting. He knows me. He knows what I do, and he he would come and say, "Mommy, can you heal me? Can you do this? Can you do that?" And it's very, very good. Like he trusts, he feels it. He says, "It feels so good. Can you do that?" So
Do you
they
feel
feel.
sometimes you take care of a patient or a client, so you clean them up, they leave? Is it common to find that they come back again with the same negative problems? Can that rebuild back until in those sessions into one day they can be positive?
You know what? It's the work. It's later the work and understanding of protection of that energy. So that's what I leave the person with that the way of protecting yourself, guard that energy. And if there is something happens, it's again, it's a that one is like a quick fix, and it's usually you can feel within yourself a freedom of flow of the energies. So if you get some negativity, it is very easy to deal with that than with like all the heaviness that you have from like over the years from your childhood, you know. So
I heard something very important before. You said something about rapid transformation therapy. How does that connect to
mhm.
your work?
So rapid transformational therapy is the mind work,
Hmm.
is the um, how we, for example, that's a good question. I would like to have that knowledge too, because our mind produces energy. So if you have the memories, awful memories, some people, I had worked with one woman, she had an awful memories of being raped by her mom's boyfriend, and she cannot function in life now. It doesn't matter if I clear the energies of that, she will still produce the memories of it with her mind. So if I don't work with the mind, um, there wouldn't be as a good result. So those dramatic things, that's where I have to work with the soul child first of all, with those energies. And then I would probably, when I will graduate from with learning rapid transformational therapy, I would definitely work on whatever issues are, because even they people create lots of sicknesses within themselves because of what the childhood was. So if you don't deal with that specific, um, for example, there are four types of people, just four, just depending on who you were when you were young. And four of them are the genius. Geniuses are or special kids with like twins or first child or a male child, depending on the culture. If you're a male child in India or Arabic countries, you know, if you so you are a genius, you're going to be always treated, you were treated by your parents as something special. These people have problems later in life if they're not doing well at work, because there is a big pressure of being that special. And when you're not that special, you feel that you fail that kind of status thing. And then it all unravels and you have lots of problems. So then there is a second child, is a helper child. Usually, children, like maybe I would probably think like a third child, a child who did not get enough attention. So you would get attention from your parents through being helpful. So what happens when you grow up? Well, you become a nurse, you become a healer. So you would always do that.
Exactly.
The third one, and I mean, it's not something bad that you are a healer or you are a nurse, but you might be doing it from the guilt of it, from the, not the guilt of it, I'm sorry, from the part of you to get attention from people.
Right. Makes sense.
And to get some love to you. I help you, you love me, please, for what I'm doing for you. So the third one is let me see, which one is which one is here. The fourth one is a troublemaker. The fourth one gets attention because, hey, even though I did
That's how he
something
gets
bad, but I
attention.
got my attention. So when you grow up, what do? You get in jail. Well, not always, but you
Commit crime. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be crimes, but there also could be some stupid decisions that you make that you get attentions. So, and the third one is the sick. The
For
sick
attention as
person.
well, right?
Yeah, for attention. It's all for attention. So, but that's the part of the childhood. That's the part of like, do you love me? Do you really love me? Oh, you're not, pay attention. You probably not love me. So the child starts creating ways to get attention and feel loved. So in the fourth one, the third one that I missed, I was like, what is the third one? The third one is the one that is always sick. That's how you get attention. Mommy, my arm hurts. Mommy, my head hurts. Oh, I just bumped my head. And the interesting thing is I have a friend and I recognize it so strongly that she was not doing that per se, but her mom did it to get attention for her own self. So she would take her to the hospitals all the time, literally making things up that she's sick just to get the attention from people. So now the daughter is having problems because she always feels sick. There's always some problems just to get an attention. So rapid transformational therapy is where you work with those pieces of your childhood and you transform it. And it actually works like magic too. And that's why, I love magic. So that's why I decided to actually study that too.
Very interesting. Long subject, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask a couple more questions before we wrap it up. Now, this is one of the last questions, but it's an important one. Tell me about your journey as a writer.
I actually always thought that I'm more an actress, and that's what I've been doing actually
Really?
too. Yeah.
Back from Russia or here you started?
Oh, you know what? Back from Russia, always since I was a little girl, I would knock on people's doors at my grandma's. It was a
And
village,
dance?
everybody knew each other, and I would be like, hey, can I dance for you? It's like, I had no shame or guilt.
That was your way to get attention.
Oh, probably. That's true. Yeah. Hey, that would be a fifth one. A creative type. Oh my goodness. I have
The
to tell
artist.
Marisa. I have to tell Marisa about that.
The
That's
sick,
actually,
the artist.
I know. That is very funny though. No, it's so true though. So the teachers, since I was in the preschool, the teachers would pick me to sing or to play, always play in a school play, always for holidays, Christmas or some spring holidays. I was always playing. When I came to America, it happened by accident. A friend of mine was teaching Russian to one guy who was doing a movie here, and he needed a Russian speaking person. So I was 23, and it was interesting. I did not know at that time. I barely kind of spoke and understood. I mean, I spoke with people, but I couldn't understand what is going on around me. Well, that person who played a senator in the movie, apparently our local Jim Brody, our WGBH, they're GBH now, radio station host. So he's like so famous here. I was watching like 10 years later, I was watching TV and I was like, oh, how do you know this guy? How do I know this? I was like, I like literally know him. And then it's like 10 years later, he changed. And I was like, oh, that's Jim Brody. I was in a movie with him. So it was a short movie for the movie festival. And then I did some gigs around Boston. So I built up my resume this way. So when I was just actually was in a movie, I went to Connecticut to do just the background acting, but they apparently needed a speaking role, so I was there. So it's for some YouTube channel. Pretty nice, pretty interesting thing. So yeah, I was thinking that I was more actress than the writer.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love to write, and I love to write poems. I mean, it comes very easily to me, like to write a poem.
What inspires you more particularly? Love or romance or self power?
You know what? I'm writing right now. So I co-wrote a book about myself, and it's an inspiring book. So that book inspires people with our stories. So now I'm writing articles for the publication, and they actually call me there as a global uplifter editor. So I create stories. For example, right now I have to finish it and send it to them today. I'm writing an article that's called "The Art of Judgment," and I go into the last week's was "You Are Your Own Guru." So which I tell people, really go into like pointing people to be curious, because gurus don't become gurus. They are just curious about life.
Right.
And I just want people to really be curious, because that's where the wisdom comes from our experiences, from knowledge of trying this, trying that. That's what I've done in life. I've tried many things. So I love actually to go into philosophy, and I love to go into words, what really words mean. For example, I wrote one article that was hope versus trust. We use those words lots of times, but we don't really look closely what they really bring into our lives, how hope works and how trust works. So I am a born teacher. I love to teach. That's the truth.
Really?
Yeah.
You like teaching about energies?
I love teaching about energies. I love teaching about femininity. I love teaching about, I'm not good at relationships teaching. I know in theory, but when I will have my own, great experiences with relationship, then I probably gonna go into the teaching of relationships when I become that master.
I think you're very capable of doing this. So here's guys, how to reach Olga. If you want her right now, you want to get on a Zoom call right now for her to help you reverse your energies, which at the end are destined to we want to improve our energies in order to get better results. Because sometimes we're just blocked. It's not that you were doomed or you have bad luck or that you were not meant for good things. It's just maybe a matter of energy. And I think Olga, by everything you heard, is the person that can help you reverse this. Here's do we have a right information here, Olga?
Yeah.
Everything is correct here. I added a link down here the Amazon link to her book
Yes.
as a co-writer. I think you should grab a copy right here.
That the good thing about this book, I would really like to say, that's not the
Mhm.
book to put on the shelf. The whole idea, and the craziest thing that happened, which is COVID, the whole idea of the book, it's called um, Pay It Forward Series, Notes to Your Younger Self. It's a volume 3, has been a bestseller, all the volumes. You read
Wow.
that book, you get inspired, and you give it to someone else. You don't have to give it, you can leave it somewhere. But the world we're living right now is a little bit difficult to move forward with that.
And let's say that if I'm a person that is doing really good in life and I'm doing good and I feel good, would it still be recommended to go to a Reiki healer and just improve my level of energy? Or I don't need it?
Do you know, this is what I was going to say. Do you feel freedom within you? Because that's how it feels when you clear out
Mm,
all the debris.
mhm,
Now, I will give you a little example of when I had my children, my first child, I revisited everything we eat,
mhm.
and we started eating so well that when we went to Disney World, um, Disneyland actually, we had food at the restaurant. I felt so awful. I thought I'm going to throw up. That's how you feel when you're clean and then when you put something in there. This is the reversal, and it relates to food too. You can't feel shitty until you feel good. You can't feel that and compare until you feel good. You might think you feel good until you feel freedom. That's when you will say, oh my gosh. And from that point, when you clear yourself out, when you're not going to feel, you're going to really feel that something is influencing you. Like right now, you might not even feel that something is influencing you just because you already have things that you can translate and feel in your body.
That's right. So, guys, check her out, Olga Brooks at The Return LLC on Instagram. Send her a message, a question, info@thereturn.live, or schedule a free intake interview. How does that work?
We just can meet, talk, and say maybe do the healing right away. So you can, if you really would like to, you can still schedule it as a healing session. So
Can a couple go together to get a healing from you? Or it has to work individually?
I think it individually, because I have to go through each individual's chakras. But
All right. And the last takeaway, give us a tip for somebody that maybe is not going to get a Reiki session tonight, but wants to get a tip on how can they start feeling better. Is there any technique, a quick technique about like a mantra, like a meditation that you recommend to start tonight? Saying, well, I want to feel good
breathing,
right now. What
breathing,
about you?
breathing is the most important thing. Even though you think you know how to breathe, you don't. I'm not kidding. Like, even you think like you've heard meditations, breathing, breathe out, that is not that. So when you need to release something, for example, you feel stress, where do you feel it? First, recognize in your body. Do you
Hmm.
feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your stomach? Sometimes your muscles can be tense. We don't realize that our actually skull is under stress too. And you don't even feel that. You don't until you start breathing through those parts of your body. And the way you do it is when you breathe in air, when you breathe out, you use your imagination in your third eye. Even though physically you're breathing out the air from your mouth, with your imagination, you breathe out through that part of your body, be that the heart, be that whatever the pain is in your body. And also, even through your skull. Like you relax your head, you relax your skull, you relax your brain. So
That's a great tip. Yeah, I don't believe we breathe how we should. I think if you
no,
get the secret of breathing, I think you get rid of half of all the negativity, probably, right? I think
yeah.
it goes in your system, in your bones when you do it right.
Hmm.
That's a great tip.
And look, you are a sovereign being. There should not be energies from other people coming into your body. So you can protect yourself from that and from many, many other things. And that's how when I go into like guiding the feminine, I teach lots of things like that too.
Thank you very much, Olga. It's been an
Mhm.
honor. Very much. Is there anything you want to add? You have to add anything about contacting you or the way you want to, you can help them. Is there anything you want to add?
There is, you know what, I will, under the video, I will actually put the link that you can click and go into the calendar thing.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. Thank you very much, Olga. It's been an honor. I learned a lot today. I even feel better, better than before. You've been working on me, right?
I'm telling you, it's a magic of me just communicating with people and
You
shifting their
have something for
thoughts. And
sure. I can
oh,
see you
well,
were
I'm
born to
glad.
do this. Actually, guys, contact Olga. Here's all the information. Watch this replay and say, how can this woman help me? You'll find the keys in this interview. Thanks, Olga. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting. Bye, everybody.
See you soon. Bye.